Hello, my dear brothers and sisters. Warmly welcome all of you to the new episode. Before proceeding further with the story, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you get a notification for every video of mine. So let's start today's story. On the night of January 31st, 2019, everything seemed the same as any other day in the posh area of Kota city. However, no one had any idea that within a short time, this area would be gripped by cold fear. The night was about to witness a sensational incident. Chandmal Vijay Varghya, who had returned home after closing his shop like every day, arrived at his house with his servant exactly at 8:30 that night. The servant left him at the door, and Chandmal went inside alone. On the other hand, his son, Rajendra Vijay Varghya, had stayed at the shop due to some important work. His wife, Gayatri, and his 18-year-old daughter, Palak, were inside the house. It was raining lightly outside, and the streets were silent. The echoes of the bells from the Aarti at the Jain temple had started to fade, and the bustle around the Ram temple was also calming down. But amidst this silence, something happened that filled this house with dreadful memories forever. When Chandmal Vijay Varghya, who had returned from the temple and shop as usual, reached the upper floor of his house, he was shocked to find that the door was not locked from the inside. This was unusual. However, the real horror was yet to unfold. As he approached Gayatri's room, he noticed blood stains outside the door. He called out to Gayatri. There was no response. Hearing his panicked cries, Rashmi, the tenant living on the ground floor, also rushed upstairs. Trembling, Chandmal pointed toward the blood-stained floor above. Gathering courage, both of them stepped forward. But as they entered the drawing room, their breath stopped in shock. Gayatri's lifeless body was lying on the floor, soaked in blood. Her breathing had stopped long ago, but an even more horrifying sight awaited them just a few steps away. 18-year-old Palak was also lying on the ground, drenched in blood. Her motionless body testified to the brutal crime that had been committed. Someone had mercilessly snatched away the lives of this mother and daughter. Chandmal's soul shuddered. With trembling hands, he called his son Rajendra, and in a shaky voice informed him about the dreadful incident. He then handed his mobile to the tenant, Rashmi, and asked her to inform the police immediately. Rashmi dialed 100 and started calling the neighbors in a panic-stricken voice. Within a short time, a crowd gathered outside the house. Sensation had spread throughout the entire area. Pimganj Mandi police station was just a few kilometers away, and as a result, station in charge Chandra Singh, along with his team, immediately reached the spot. The news of the double murder had shaken the Kota police. Within a short time, the forensic team and dog squad also arrived. As the police examined the crime scene inside the house, a chill ran down their spines. Blood was spread all over the bedroom, but both bodies were lying in the drawing room. This suggested to the police that the mother and daughter had been brutally murdered in their respective rooms, and then their bodies had been dragged into the drawing room. The streaks of blood from the rooms to the drawing room testified that this was no ordinary murder. The manner in which the crime was executed made it clear that this was not a robbery. Instead, it pointed toward a deep enmity or a well-planned conspiracy. Rajendra Vijay Varghya was in shock after losing his wife and daughter. He claimed that he had no enmity with anyone. However, SP Deepak Bhargava was not convinced by his statement. The police suspected that this murder was a result of deep-seated rivalry or a well-planned conspiracy. The brutality of the attack, targeting the victims' heads, necks, and hands, suggested sheer savagery. During the investigation, the police found 2 iron rods on a bed in one of the rooms. Both had blood stains on them. Apart from this, they also discovered a knife under the bed, which had fresh blood marks on it. Forensic experts suspected that the mother and daughter had had their throats slit with the same knife. However, another shocking revelation was yet to come. The locks of the shelves kept in the bedroom were broken. Seeing this, the police felt that robbery could also be a reason behind the murder. However, the police did not accept this theory as completely correct. If they had come with the intention of looting, the killers would not have murdered with such cruelty. especially when the house could have been easily robbed without any struggle. SP Bhargava's initial investigation revealed that there was more than one murderer. Not only were multiple weapons used to carry out the crime, but a lot of effort was also put into dragging the bodies of the mother and daughter to the drawing room. After this, the police sent both bodies for post-mortem. When the report came, what was revealed made the whole matter more complicated, suspicious, and frightening. According to the post-mortem report, Gayatri died due to deep head injuries. There were 5 wounds on her head, and many bones were completely broken. It was clear from her injuries that the attack was done very brutally. However, the report of her daughter, Palak, was even more painful and shocking. According to the report, Palak had been raped multiple times before her death. This revelation indicated that the attack was not only a murder, but also an act of physical abuse and brutality. It was already known from the post-mortem report that she had been molested several times, but now it was clear that even before the murder, she had become a victim of the murderer's lust. After this, 2 dangerous blows were inflicted on her head, one of which was so terrible that even her brain was exposed. Investigating Officer Chandra Singh, who was the first to reach the crime scene, said that when he got the information about this double murder, he was standing outside the police station. As soon as he received the report, he immediately rushed to the spot. But the moment he saw the blood-soaked bodies of the mother and daughter on the floor, his steps halted. The gruesome sight left him stunned, and he was unable to control himself for 5 minutes. This case had such a deep impact on him that he could not eat properly for 3 days and remained engaged in the investigation without sleeping. According to him, this was the most painful case of his life. The initial police investigation revealed that the killers had used a sari as a weapon. Both Gayatri and Palak had deep scratches and bruises on their hands, proving that they fought fiercely to save their lives. Broken bangles were also found at the scene, bearing witness to their struggle. However, the most important clue was the pieces of skin and flesh found in the nails of the mother and daughter, clear evidence that they had scratched one of the murderers with full force. This could help in identifying the culprits. One road from the house of Rajendra Vijayvargiya led directly towards the station, while the other road led towards Hatwara and further to the military area. Perhaps this was why, after committing the crime, the murderers managed to escape unnoticed. But the most shocking aspect of the case was that the way the incident took place suggested that the murderers could be close to the Vijayvargiya family. The main gate of the house was made of iron, but its latch could be opened from both inside and outside. This meant that either the murderers were already familiar with the house or someone from the family had helped them enter. Gayatri and Chandmal Vijayvargiya were involved in social service, so people frequently visited their house. However, Rajendra Vijayvargiya stated that there were 5 CCTV cameras installed in the house, and whenever someone came, Gayatri or Palak would open the door only after checking the cameras. This meant that the people who entered the house on the day of the incident were known to them. During the investigation, the police found that all the CCTV cameras of the house were broken and the DVR was missing. This deepened the police's suspicion that the crime was committed out of greed for money. Rajendra also admitted that robbery could be the main motive behind the murder. Now, the biggest challenge for the police was to identify the murder weapons. SP Deepak Bhargava immediately formed several teams, including a total of 200 officers. The more complicated the case became, the more dangerous it seemed. The question remained, if this was merely a robbery, why were the mother and daughter murdered so brutally? And if the murderers had come with the intent of looting, how did they have such precise information about every corner of the house? The police investigation continued relentlessly. CCTV footage from the entire area was being examined, hotels and dharamshalas were being raided, and Kota city was placed under lockdown to prevent the criminals from escaping. But on February 2nd, a new development occurred in the case. In a twist, the police found a white-colored towel at the crime scene. Amidst the chaos, one of the criminals had accidentally left it behind. When the police questioned Rajendra about the towel, he could not provide any information. Then an informant tipped off the police that a similar towel was owned by Mastram, the guard at Rajendra's shop. Although the police were monitoring multiple suspects, on the evening of February 3rd, Constable Shivraj received another vital clue. An informant reported that Rajendra's old servant had recently been spending a lot of money. According to the informant, this servant had recently purchased a mobile phone and expensive clothes worth a substantial sum. The police's suspicion deepened because this amount closely matched the stolen sum. They also knew that criminals often return to the crime scene under some pretext, which frequently leads to their arrest. The police now had two significant clues: a suspicious towel left at the scene and the sudden change in the lifestyle of Rajendra's old servant. On February 3rd, at Gayatri and Palak's condolence meeting, everyone was inconsolable. But suddenly one person started crying uncontrollably. He kept repeating, "Master, how did all this happen?" The police observed him closely as his behavior raised further suspicion. Just as they tried to approach him, he attempted to push them back. Started crying even louder. Seeing all this, the police personnel present in plain clothes got suspicious. They asked Rajendra, "Who is this person?" Rajendra replied, "This is my old servant, Mastram Meena. He used to guard my shop earlier and was very loyal." The eyes of the policeman became sharp upon hearing the name Mastram. This was the same name mentioned by an informer. The informer had told them that Mastram was wasting a lot of money these days. He was wearing expensive clothes and had bought an expensive mobile phone. Now that Mastram had come under police suspicion, they caught him without any delay and brought him to Bhimganj police station. When he was seriously interrogated, Mastram could not hide the truth for long. Within a few hours, he broke down and spilled everything. But even the policeman got goosebumps after listening to his story. He confessed that he had committed this crime along with his friend Lokesh Meena. Both Mastram and Lokesh were childhood friends and belonged to the same village. Mastram was unmarried. His father had died a year ago, after which his brothers had sold their ancestral land for lakhs of rupees. Mastram also received a share, but he spent the entire amount on alcohol and debauchery. Due to his drunken misbehavior, he had been beaten many times in the village. On the other hand, his friend Lokesh Meena had failed his 10th grade exams and had started working as a contractor. However, due to his hooliganism, he did not get any work. Many criminal cases were registered against Lokesh at Keshavripatan police station. Some time ago, when he tried to elope with his own sister-in-law, his family threw him out. Now, Mastram and Lokesh began plotting a big robbery so they could live a luxurious life. 9 years before this incident, Mastram had worked in Rajendra Vijay's class. Mastram told Lokesh, "We will have to kill 1 or 2 people, but we will get a lot of money and gold." As soon as Lokesh heard about the money, he agreed. During interrogation, Mastram revealed that they had surveyed Rajendra's shop and house for several days before committing the crime. They chose 7 p.m. to execute their plan because at that time, Rajendra Vijay Varghia was at his shop. His father, Chandmal, would go straight from the temple to his son's shop after visiting the Ram temple in the evening. No one else would come home before 8:30 p.m. Rashmi, a tenant on the ground floor, lived alone, but in the evening, she would go to the market to buy vegetables. This was all part of Mastram and Lokesh's plan. The murder of Gayatri and her daughter Palak was premeditated. They had brought rods and knives with them because Gayatri and Palak knew Mastram. When Gayatri rang the doorbell of the house, they opened the door. As soon as the door opened, both of them entered. Gayatri asked them to sit, but the moment she turned towards her room, they attacked her on the head. Hearing the noise, Palak came out of her room, but before she could react, Mastram and Lokesh slit her throat with a knife. After this, they dragged the bodies of the mother and daughter into the drawing room. Mastram knew that jewelry and money were kept in Gayatri's room. They had brought a bag with them, and after breaking the safe, they put all the jewelry and money into the bag. Then, they fled the scene, took a bus, and went straight to their village, where they hid the stolen valuables. That night, they took a roadways bus from Bundi district and went to Jaipur. In Jaipur, they stayed in a hotel, shopped extensively the next day, drank alcohol, and bought expensive mobile phones and clothes. Then, on February 2nd, they returned to Kota. Mastram was fully confident that his plan was foolproof and had no fear of being caught. However, to act innocent and avoid suspicion, he attended Rajendra's condolence meeting. Mastram started crying loudly at the gathering, which caught the attention of Constable Shivraj. Becoming suspicious, Shivraj arrested Mastram. Rajendra Vijay Varghese had informed the police that the robbers had stolen around rupees 20 lakh from his house. After interrogation, the police recovered 20 lakh, 13 kilo of silver, and 26 grams of gold from the two accused. Additionally, they recovered the gold chain and bracelets belonging to Gayatri and Palak. Mastram also admitted that Gayatri and Palak had taken off their jewelry before being killed. The second accused, Lokesh, had taken a gold bangle and a gold chain worth rupees 20 lakh after the incident and buried them in a field in his village. After splitting the stolen money, Mastram went to a relative in Patan district, Gujarat, and deposited a significant amount, claiming it was from selling land. Once the case was cracked, Mastram's relatives handed over the money to the police, stating they had no knowledge of the crime. According to SP Deepak Bhargava, the case was under thorough investigation. Constable Shivraj played a crucial role in solving the case. His suspicion of Mastram's behavior at the condolence meeting led to a focused investigation. He also noticed scratch marks on Mastram's wrists, which further strengthened his doubts. Following the revelation of the crime, the case proceeded to court. On February 18, 2020, the Paso court classified the crime as one of the rarest of rare cases. Mastram Meena and Lokesh Meena were sentenced to death, along with a fine of 80,000. They also faced additional charges under various sections of the law. POSO Court Judge Ajay Kumar Sharma stated that the collective consciousness of society was shaken by this case. The accused had committed the crime when both women were alone at home. They not only looted valuables, but also brutally raped and murdered the complainant's daughter. The judge emphasized that such crimes deeply affect every section of society. The community needs security, and society cannot tolerate such criminals among them. In his verdict, the judge wrote that once the warrant for execution was issued, the accused should be hanged until death. Friends, this was another dreadful chapter. If you appreciate our hard work, please like and share this video. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now.